Hey guys, I played a bunch of video games before I started the editing process for the fourth book, which is kind of taking a decent amount of time right now. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, it's coming. But I played Fire Emblem Shadows of Valentia for the 3DS, and just wanted to talk about it. This game was a enhanced remake of a Fire Emblem game that never came out in the United States until now. And I had never played the Japanese version. I don't know much about it, so I wanted to preface that before I talked about it because I might sound stupid in certain ways. Um, I liked this game. First of all, it was a little bit strange some of the mechanics and the choices they made compared to other Fire Emblem games, not only new but also old. The first Fire Emblem games I played were on the Game Boy Advance, those ones that came out at that point in time. Random cat in the background. So just a little bit of background of my experience of the game. It was nice to get back to more traditional Fire Emblem when it comes to not having a sometimes forced child creation thing. It didn't over rely on courtship or marriage mechanics, stuff like that. Some of that stuff was still there, the friendship aspects, but it was more in the background, a little bit more muted, which I appreciated. I have never played a Fire Emblem game where it wasn't clear when you should advance or evolve your units. Like every other game, you want to go all the way up to 20 just because you're going to get the most stats that way, evolve it, and then repeat the process. In this game, since there's a minimum a class can be stat-wise, sometimes it made sense to evolve them faster, especially if you needed a certain health thing, like with some of the clerics, or you needed a better sniper, or those are the things that came up in my game. But there were definitely some characters where it was like leveling you up any higher at your current class is not getting me much gain, and I'm just going to evolve you, and then wow, that's way easier, and you gain levels way faster, and you're much less frustrating when it comes to absorbing all the experience. But I did appreciate how there were like two different sides of the game. I thought the female character was cool, but at a certain point she kind of became the damsel in distress. Not sure why they went the entire game with a strong female character, I guess you could say, and then just kind of threw it away. But I mean, this is an enhanced remake of an old game, so I guess that sort of makes sense when it comes to that. But there were parts of the game that seemed a little grindy. There were parts of the game that allowed you to fight enemies as much as you want in order to level stuff up, which ended up being something I appreciated later when a couple what I felt cheap levels came into play, especially with the poison levels. You're trying to go through the game and suddenly you can't get through certain parts of land just because it always damages you. Now, I think the key to me beating that was leveling up some of my flying units a little bit, um, but also leveling up my clerics, which allowed them to kind of like form a health bridge to counteract those forces. I felt like some of the enemy units were cheap, but you figured them out. I felt like the boss I thought I was never going to beat, but I ended up beating it, so it must not be that cheap because, I had a little bit of trouble and figured it out, so it may have been the appropriate level of difficulty. But yeah, the first time I fought the final boss, I was like, there's no way in hell I'm ever going to beat this. And I found a little tiny weakness in the guy's armor, and I think the priest guy was what was hard for me, and I used the female character with a long range magic attack and some kind of ring, and like finally like critted him and killed him because this boss had some sort of skill which made it so that you couldn't actually damage him. Like your stuff just didn't work, and I don't know if I got lucky finally one time where it passed through or what, but it finally happened. And then you just kind of had to use their main male character to go mano a mano with the dragon guy and kill him. So it's a fun game. It's a little bit frustrating at times, some slightly weird mechanics, but it's good Fire Emblem experience, kind of back to the basics in a lot of ways, but would recommend.